Hey scholars, it's good to be back with you. And today I'd like to show you how to model the contour of an electric guitar neck using Aspire, which is kind of the 3D version of VCarve, which is kind of a 2.5D CAD package. Aspire is pretty simple and it's pretty easy to use, so it's different than some of the more complicated ones like Fusion or SolidWorks. It's pretty well suited to making guitars. Now in this example, I'm just going to show you how to do the neck. I'm not trying to show you how to do the transitions up to the headstock, but we will see the transition down to the heel here. Now I've got this all set up, and I'll walk you through it step by step here, but for right now, let's take a look at what it looks like when I'm opening this file. You can kind of see it looks kind of like there's a 3D shadow there. Let's go to 3D view and take a look at this. Okay, so that looks pretty much like an electric guitar neck. Now I don't have the radius there. Those would go in later. I'm just trying to show you how to do the contour right now. So go back to top view there, and let's go back to 2D view. Now I'm going to click right there, and you can see I've kind of highlighted the 3D shape. I'm going to hit delete and get rid of it, and we're going to rebuild it. So I've got two lines drawn, the upper and the lower, and those are the two sides of the guitar neck. This would be, let's see, I guess that's the bass side and that's the treble side. And I don't have any end on it. I don't have any transition to the headstock or anything. You can add those later. These numbers down here are the widths, okay? And these are kind of rounded off. That's pretty close to 1 11/16, and that's pretty close to 2 3/16. In my class, we tend to use these round numbers. You of course, can change this to be anything you want. And the 18.5 inch length, again, I'm just using a round number here. If you want to make these two lines different lengths, go right ahead. These shapes here, and here are the cross-sectional shapes I'm going to want to apply to those two lines. And it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to click there and highlight that line, and I'm going to shift and click right there. So I've got the upper and lower lines highlighted. We're going to go over here to this button that says sweep. Now we're not going to use extrude, we're going to use sweep. So click there. And these are going to be called drive rails here in a second. So which drive rails you want to use? Well, let's use the selection. So there's that. And you can see I've got a red and a green drive rail, and they point to the right. Lines in VCarve and Aspire have directions, and they use those for a couple of things, including setting up tool paths. So let's just start assigning these cross-sectional shapes to the drive rails. So I'm going to click on this one. And right down here, you can see the little check mark turns on. Click right there. You can see how these vertical gray lines go down to the right. Those indicate that that shape is being applied all the way down the drive rails. Well, I don't want that exact shape everywhere. I want to transition to some others. So I'm going to click right there. And see, there's the check mark again. Click there. So now I've got a different shape going down to the right. If I were to calculate that shape right now, what I'd have is this rounded shape all the way down. Well, I don't want that. I want it flat down here. This should be, I think, a 3-inch length, or pretty close, 2.5, I guess, on this model. So I'm going to click there. So there's the check mark again. Click there. So I've got gray, or a rectangle, I should say, going down here, and those gray lines showing. Now, if I were to go ahead and calculate this shape, what I'd find out is it's square right there and reverts to round again here. So I have to put this other rectangle there. Click on that. And the only trick here is if I go right there, that check mark doesn't highlight. So I'm going to go right there and highlight. You can see the check mark appear, so I'll click there, and I got it. The only hint is you can see that turns purple right there. So let's say apply. Well, that looks pretty close. Let's go over to 3D and see what we get here. And there it is. There's a nice, pretty close contour for an electric guitar neck. Now, let's go to top there. If you want different profiles, of course, select those. These are probably ovals, I think. I picked them just as oval because it was easy to do. If you want something different than that, by all means, pick the cross-sectional shape you want. You can make it more of a D shape or more of a V shape if you like. You probably do want to keep these. Now, in this case right here, I think the distance between those two vertical lines is 2.5 inches. A lot of guitars, I think, use 3, so you may have to move one of these vertical lines one way or the other. In this case, these are just guidelines. So let's see, that's 18.5. I could move this over to the left a 1/2 inch if I wanted to. Now, of course, I've done this in inches just because the American guitar industry still works in decimal inches. It works obviously just as well in millimeters. So whichever units you want to use are fine. So hopefully this helps. This will get you to the point where quickly you'll have a nice contour for an electric guitar neck. We'll have to do some more things to make it practical. We'll have to round those corners off and then transition into a headstock, but we'll do those later. I hope this helps, and we'll talk to you next time.